Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode on Green Radio, the place where you can hear people's opinion about climate. So you know books, right? People read them. They are fiction books who tell the story from their words. That's why books are a great way to use your words in a way many people can see it. Why am I talking about this? Because the reason is today's guest, Ms Meltem. How are you today?
Thank you. I am fine. I am glad you invited me.
That's great to hear. Why don't you introduce yourself a bit?
I am a climate activist and writer. I love nature and animals very much. I am a free soul.
Thank you. I read your book and I have to say I'm quite impressed. Could you tell us how you came up with this idea?
Actually, the name of my novel is Turkish name Ada, English name is Island, an illustration of the world. In the novel, every character and symbol describes something that happens in the world. I love this. I present the reader with a puzzle with encrypted messages. He solves it.
Interesting. Well, now we can finally go on to the main topic. What does this book have to do with climate change? Firstly, could you give us a quick summary of Islands?
There are four characters in the Island novel that are all different from each other. Three of them are materialistic modern day human types with worldly desires, but there is no among them. His name is Heart. He does not belong to this world. Heart is a unique soul who preserves existence in a loving universe, improves the environment, and does not harm nature.
Well, I have to say I'm surprised we managed to come up with a story like that. However, there is one question I want to ask you about this book. While writing Island, did you think of our climate in any way to lead the story with?
Certainly, the island which they call a ghost island is a tropical island in the middle of the ocean that is above water 3 months of the year and remains underwater for 9 months because the climate change water rises and the island disappears for 9 months. Four people who survived the plane crash come to the island unknowingly.
So you mean that thanks to climate change, the water rises and the island disappears for 9 months, correct?
Yes, absolutely. That's the story I want to lead with.
Interesting. So, what kind of message did you want to leave everyone who read this novel? What was your purpose?
There is only one survivor on the island. That's Hart, Mr. Hart. The message is clear enough.
So, here at Green Radio, we want the most opinions spread out there. As the first writers to be on this podcast channel, what do you think about the future out there waits for us, and how do you think your book can affect it?
We have only one chance to escape from this island, from the world. That's to think like Mr. Hart.
Any chance you could tell in details?
Hart is someone who loves nature, is at peace with himself, is unselfish, helps animals, and does not live only for himself. The climate also demands this.
That is a really nice message. And that will be all for today. Thank you for being on the show. It was nice having you here.
It was a pleasure being here.
I'll be completely honest. Being on here has completely changed my mind about how some text can give out so much. Any information? Any final words to close us off?
Everything is temporary. All that remains is the improvements we made, like climate.
Thank you again for being on here. It was a pleasure having you here. And yet again, we come close to another episode on Green Radio. If you can, please read Ada aka Island, written by Ms Meltem here. And please be back for next week for another episode on Green Radio. And as always, I'm your host, Arda Dede, and with me is Ms Meltem, and we are closing off for the week. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Stay green.